Hello, Meow Meows. Thank you for your time today.
We have many things to discuss in our third series, Self.
Discovering ourself through love and understanding.
Uncovering what gets in the way.
What are the love languages we value and how we communicate them?
Falling in love and getting married to you.
Finding a giggle in yourself today.
Creating a reality with passion and purpose.
Alrighty, Meow Meows, let's get connected with ourself.
Well, good morning, Miss Cat.
Hey, how are you doing today, Kai?
I am pleasant. How are you doing?
I'm rad.
Ooh.
We're in our final episode of Series 3. We did it. We got through 3 series.
Isn't that insane? Does not feel like that at all. But I mean, it is, but
It
wow.
is. And
Wow.
I think we picked the most perfect episode to wrap up the series, Passion and Purpose.
What is your passion? What is your purpose?
And I think that many people might be like, oh, this is great. This will help me find my passion and purpose.
Ha.
I've been looking for this. No, pretty much everything we're going to say today is, these feel like very overwhelming questions. What is my passion and purpose? Because literally no one will ever give you the answer to it. And I think kind of getting over the notion that you should expect to find a very clear answer out there in the universe, so that someone will just drop something in your lap and you'll be like, oh, of course,
That
the
makes
whole
sense.
time. No.
Well, and like that goes for anything in life. Nothing's just gonna fall in. No answer is gonna fall into your lap like magic.
This is the biggest one, though, because your
Yeah.
passion and purpose is literally something that only you can decide. So no one can answer this for you because they're not you. It's a life exploration.
Of course.
And I mean, like, take a little bit of empowerment back and know that even through this exploration, like, you're not going to find really the wrong answers. You're just going to learn what works and what doesn't work for you.
Exactly.
So you're never going to be wrong, but you might you're not really right until it feels right.
Yes, it has to have. You have to have those feel goods. If there's something that you question, like, is this something I really want to do? Well, find something different.
Right.
Or
Well,
find
and I
something
think
else.
there's probably so much ease to be had of like, yeah, it's not probably going to feel super right at 1st. And when you do something and you're like, whoa, this feels right, that's amazing. Run with that. That's like, those are the blessings from the universe where you just feel so in sync.
Yes.
But for the most part, I think you're like, do I like this though?
Is this really what I want to do?
Am I up for this? Like, am I willing to eat the shit sandwich, as you might call it? So let's start with purpose. When we ask, what is my purpose? What would you say, Carla?
Well, I feel like all of us have many purposes, not just
And
one.
I feel like we could have any purpose.
And that's so funny now, thinking and believing, having that belief that we can have many purposes, because even as a young child, I always questioned from like the very beginning of like my memories, even like 4, 5, 6 years old, asking like, what is my purpose? What am I meant to do in the world? What is the one thing I'm meant to do whatever? How do I find that? And I drove with that for so many years.
How did it make you feel?
Pointless.
Oh, ouchie.
It made me feel upset with myself because I couldn't figure it out, because I didn't know. And then
You were also a child.
I know, what the heck. And then when I was like 17, I was 18 years old, and I was out in California with my like second cousins. They're much older than I, and I was talking with them, and my cousin, he had said, you don't have to have one dream. You don't have to have one thing that you can do. He's like, you can do literally anything you want. And that's what really spoke to me. I'm like, I can have many passions. I can have many like purposes in my life. I can do so many different things. Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
What can I do? Okay, what can't I do now then?
Yeah. Or yeah, and shifting the question from what can I do? Like what can I offer the world? What can I contribute to society with? What can't I do?
Yeah, rather than just asking what is my purpose? So what can I do?
What can I do? Yeah. And what a better place to start. What a better place to start.
Because I feel like asking what is my purpose, it puts like a stop to the question.
A little bit.
Like, okay, what is my purpose?
Well, it's such a daunting question. It's like, God, do I even want to have the entire conversation? Do I want to have the several year sabbatical of like discovering what this is?
Because you and I, we could be having the conversation and you know exactly what your purposes are and what you want to do and your dreams and your goals. And what if I don't have anything?
Well, and I mean, especially, because I've decided it for myself.
Yeah.
There's this beautiful quote that I love from Michael Beckwith. And he's asking the question. He's delightful, by the way. He runs this church called Agape. And it's a new kind of church. It's basically just like, he's so cute. He's like, we don't believe in the man in the sky. We're not that naive. But agape, meaning love, is, the entire organization is just run out of pure love. Anyway, beautiful man. And he was answering the question, what am I meant to do in this world? What is my mission? And he's like, literally anything and everything. Ugh. You choose it. It does not choose you.
Ooh, say it again.
You choose it. It does not choose you.
I love that.
But we were just listening to a beautiful talk by Quintina Soni last night, and she was talking about the law of inspired action. And you make up this idea in your head of like, this is where I want to be in the future. This is what I want to do. Like, I want to be an artist, or I want to be like an art teacher. I want to be an art teacher. And you're like, oh, but maybe I couldn't because da 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 da. And then things start to kind of fall in your place. And sometimes I think people confuse that of like, oh no, this path chose me. Like, it sought me out and it said, you have to do this. But really, I think you decided you wanted it first.
Yeah.
And then the universe delivered exactly what you needed in order to make it happen. So
it goes around.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Fall in line with those synchronicities. Like, but again, an exploration.
Of course it is. So a question I find is like, how, when it comes to passion or purpose, it's like, how do I know? Will I ever know or understand what my purpose is? Like, what if I can't find any purpose?
I think like you'll never know for certain because again, nobody can answer this except you. Like if you go into it with absolute certainty, like I do know what my purpose is. I totally know I decided it. And I mean, maybe we should, if you have a purpose that you would love to share. My purpose is the most random. There's a lot of weird things and big things I want to do in my life.
Let's hear it.
But one of my biggest purposes being on this planet is to save as many children as possible. And to save them from the foster, save them from the foster care system, save them from adoption, save them from homes where it's not maybe like super duper stable, but I can just offer that like stable kind of bouncing off point. From the sex slave industry, that's a whole podcast we could get into, but
we'll get there.
My literal whole like mission in life is to just save as many as possible, and that's a big goal. It's a big goal. And if I didn't believe I was up to a challenge like that, I would have never decided that that was my purpose.
How interesting.
Somehow there's things that will just tug on your heart enough that you could fantasize about years in the future, decades in the future, that you're like, I know I can have that and I will have that.
I love that.
And then you just decide, just take it.
Just take it. Take it however you can.
Right. Well, and that's kind of getting more into the service and contribution of it. But think about like, what would make you feel joy? What would make you feel happy and fulfilled for the rest of your life? It's never going to be money. It's never going to be vacations. It's never going to be material things.
No, exactly.
It's going to come out of fulfillment.
I definitely agree. Oh gosh, purpose. I feel like there's so many things you could have a purpose of. One of mine, just like yours too, is like serving, but serving in the aspect of giving people the opportunity to see themselves through how I'm able to see myself.
Girl, I wish I could touch your hand right now.
Touch.
I feel like that. I mean, I not to copy your purpose.
No,
I mean, I think
no.
we're doing it together.
We're
I think it's
definitely
the
aligned
reason,
in that aspect, and that's why we vibe so well.
I think it's probably the reason we found each other. But I
Mhm.
have written on a notebook. I'm like, my purpose is to be the olive branch for achievable happiness
Oh.
for anyone who wants to grab it.
I love that.
Mm.
I love that.
And I love what you say too, because so many people are like surrounded by this negative self-image of themselves.
They
I'm like,
are.
if you could see you the way I see you,
Mhm.
like,
Well, and it's so interesting because it's just a different way of speaking to yourself.
how many times have we said that?
So many, it's obnoxious. But that is the truth to me.
Yeah.
And it's not the truth necessarily to you, but I'm telling you, I don't tell you shit, but like, oh man, having a different way of speaking to yourself changes your self-image. So if you don't know what your purpose is and you say, well, I don't have a purpose, I don't know what it is life even worth living? Well, what is something that you do enjoy?
Yeah.
What is something that sparks a light in your life that even if it's
makes you feel giddy, excited, creative, expanded.
yes, just like when you find a giggle, I mean, what gives you that giggle?
Right. Well, and I mean, so I think now if we bring it back to passion.
Yes. So like,
And
what is it?
exactly.
What is my passion? So like when we first thought of this question too, I don't know why, but just like other questions came up to
course.
answer what is my passion, because
As it should, because the person has to answer it for themselves.
yes. And so like with passion, a passion can be anything. A passion can be in any kind of subcategory. So like for what is my passion? Some other questions can be, what makes you happy? What brings you satisfaction? What challenges you to grow? What makes your heart race and allows you into a state of flow?
I love these questions, Kyla. You did a really good job writing those down.
Thank you. And like though, because again, like passion, it can be in the sense of affection, where it's very physical and emotional, or it could even be in the sense of like your work lifestyle, like your passion to support and to encourage others. That's serving someone else.
Right. And
So,
you wrote down like the most beautiful questions for those too. In work life, who do I want to serve? In relationships, how do I want to love? Contributions, who do I want to help? And if you ask yourself these questions, another great question to ask yourself is, what experiences do I want to have? Rather than thinking about what do I want to have, what experiences? Because life is literally just about experiences. And then the end result, the payoff of an experience is the emotion you feel from it. So how do I want to feel? And I think when you start thinking about passion and purpose in terms of who would I want to serve, like, because service to me is fulfillment, and maybe people can get fulfillment from other things, but to me fulfillment is what are you offering the world and who are you serving, whether it be your customers, your clients, whether it be people at your church, whether it be your children, whether it be your relationships, whether it be
or your co-host.
Yeah. Exactly. So thinking about these questions, I think, is such a better approach to passion and purpose.
So what is my passion and purpose? Coming back to the beginning question.
The very beginning. And I just honestly, so I've been reading the book The Practice by Seth Godin. We introduced it at the beginning of this series, and he has so many great interviews. We'll link this specific one below, but he's like, the belief that passion and purpose is something you find out there, that it's something that reveals itself to you or that you're born with or meant to do, that's a lie. And one of the easiest lies to tell yourself, because it lets you off the hook. Lets you off the hook. It is so much, this is also like a direct quote from him, it is so much easier to be passionate about what you do than trying to find what you're passionate about and pursuing that. And they also have this conversation that this is the first day and age where creatives can monetize their craft.
Yeah, I think that's incredible.
Yeah, which is amazing. Like, you know, if we were to make enough money off of this, where this was all we had to do,
I'd be set.
Of course. And
I would be so
really
happy.
happy. I would use that gift and I would 100% turn it back into contributions
Of course.
and service that I could offer to the listeners.
Because, Kat, if this is all we were doing, oh my gosh.
But
it would be 1,000 times better than this.
Right. But let's look at the reality
Yeah.
of it. We both have jobs. We both have full-time jobs.
Yep.
You have a full-time sort of like 9 to 5 structured hours. I have a full-time freelance where I am literally doing creative work all of the time. And what I also love about this is that, like, once you become an artist, a working artist, you are not necessarily an artist anymore, if that makes sense.
How so?
Like, there's creating art for the sake of creating art, and then there's creating art for the sake of creating profit. And this is another thing Seth Godin talks about, and he's like, you can either be an artist or you can be a hack. If you're a hack, you're literally pursuing the end result of making money and people buying it. You want it to be the largest viable audience, the largest feasible audience,
can be
which
ideal
is
for some
totally fine.
people.
And he's like, honestly, I do not knock hacks whatsoever. But an artist creates something for a specific group of people, and they know it might work. It might work. It might not work.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, if I'm creating work for a client, I'm not necessarily a hack per se, but it's their product. I'm creating something for them. So it's not about what I think looks best. It's about what they expect to receive at the end of it. And so one thing I was going to say, he really emphasizes think twice before you try and monetize your art, because then it becomes your work.
Yeah.
And as much as we love doing this podcast, like, I have a lot of fun with it. I never dread it, but it's not something we do because it makes us feel creative and artistic and good.
Not always, no.
Well, and I mean, like, if it did or if it didn't, we said we were going to do it, so we show up.
Yes.
And that's what I think the biggest thing about passion and purpose is that people associate it kind of with this creative field, or, you know, passion being something that
is so strong.
Right. And you know, connected with
yes.
creativity and expansion and all of these good things. But
which it's there because that's what sparked something.
Right. Purpose doesn't always come with passion.
No.
If that makes sense.
They can be together, but they can also be very separate too.
They can also be very separate. And I think both of them you decide. And passion is daily. Find your passions daily, and purpose is long term.
Yeah. And,
you know, be okay with, like, if it becomes your work, then it's your work.
Right. But you can still be passionate about your work.
Of course. Of course.
You can still find excitement, whether it be speaking and just having a conversation with a customer or a client and creating that connection. That can be your passion. And that's how you will excel.
Right. If you are a server at a restaurant and you're like, I know, I love serving people.
Yeah.
Again, it is so much easier to be passionate about what you're doing right now than to try and pursue something that you're passionate about, especially if you don't know what your passion is.
Exactly. And that's okay.
Also, like, you deserve to have a work life and a passion.
Yes. Yes.
You deserve to have a work life and a passion. You deserve to have an area of your life that is meant for nothing else
but you.
But you and what you can create.
That's the same thing. Like me, just like you, both of us, we both have many purposes and many passions. I enjoy on my own time is just like creating art and making music, even just writing. I enjoy, and I know you love to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not meant for anybody else.
And if it becomes that,
right,
beautiful, but it's still always for me.
Right. The idea of selling something that you've created, I think it's so much purer when you're not creating it with that end goal in mind.
No. Like if it happens, okay.
Yeah.
Like I've been thinking about selling some of my art. If it sells, cool. But that's not the end goal.
Right.
The end goal is to create something that I feel satisfied with, an emotional connection with. And if someone else loves it, I love that for them.
Right. And I think more people should try and make something just for the sake of making something. Like,
it can be anything.
Literally with this, we're just like,
we're making something.
We don't know how it'll be received. Like we're actually still eagerly waiting for the negative comments or the negative reviews. Like,
yeah.
like
We've had some. We've had like
someone triggered the fuck out in our
yeah.
comment section. I literally cannot wait for it.
Well, like we've had a couple like dislikes, and I love that. I'm like, oh, thanks, guys.
We got
I
our
love
first dislike like last week, and I was
know.
like, oh,
It was
I've been waiting for it.
I know. I'm just like, oh yay. I don't know. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, because I feel like it's an honest opinion.
It is.
And well, and also we went into this being like, give it to us. Literally give it to us.
Yeah.
Like we'll take it.
And not every single one of our podcasts is gonna hit someone right on the mark and make them feel good.
We're gonna have one more quote from Seth Godin. He's just
Let's hear
like,
it.
not all feedback is the same.
No.
So like,
not every person's the same.
well, of course, but also like, if you're not creating this for them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we're creating this podcast. We know what meows we're creating it for. I literally have all of them in my head. We're all in communication
Yes.
so often. But if someone comes in and they're having a bad day, they're trolling, or they just want to be mean,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't create this podcast for them. In a sense, though, I did. Like, I created it to just kind of like create a little bit of space, a little bit of a ripple, to get a few like little triggered comments.
Well, of
but if they
course.
say something like, you guys are ugly,
I'd be like, okay,
I'd
thank
be
you.
like, okay. But so that's feedback that we don't really need,
No.
and that's feedback that we don't really have to take, and it doesn't really have to mean anything to us because that's not who we were after. But if someone who's been watching our podcast every single week
It's triggered.
is triggered, or if they're just like, hey guys, I really feel like you could have talked about this a little bit more, or you missed this mark, or the way you said this kind of comes off a little bit harsh
Yeah.
or cold. Dude, that feedback is,
It's constructive criticism.
it is invaluable. Like, it is the most amazing thing. It's priceless is what it is. It's priceless. And so, yeah, putting something out there is going to be scary.
Of course. Of course. Well, even when we first started the idea of the podcast, we had so many ideas and it was so unorganized, which is fine. But we're like, okay, we want to create this creation from the drive of we want to have these discussions because they need to be talked about.
They need to be talked about. Imagine, too, like, putting your purpose out there is scary.
Putting yourself out there is scary.
Always, bruh. And it means, like, dude, why do you think so many people don't name their passion? It's because it's hard. It means that, like, you've said something, and, like, if you don't go after it, people know.
They do. They really do.
And, I mean, if you say it to you, you know.
Of course. Of course you know. But
it's to me, it's not the fear and discomfort of treading into the unknown is not worth denying what you can offer to the world and what only you can offer to the world. I do think that's your purpose in a sense, but again, you are the one who's deciding that for you. Know that, like, there will never be another you. Never, 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 ever.
There could be a part of you, but it'll never be you.
Things you've already done, things you will do in the future, no one else can do them.
No. Nobody.
No one else ever will. Oh my God, we've got the dog here. Stop. Stop.
He's been enjoying hanging out, but when people walk by, he says no.
We both jumped.
We did. It's okay.
Anyway, so
Hi.
so that whole episode being said, I encourage anyone to kind of ask the questions that we've asked, a few of the ones that we've listed below. Ask yourself these questions. If you have a clear purpose that you've decided for yourself, we would love to know
Because it's so
what your purpose.
It's so intriguing.
What your decided purpose is.
Yes, and if you don't know, I love that for you.
Oh my God, please share that with us too. Like,
there's so many different things.
we can help, but it's up to you.
It's your choice, whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm sure we'll dive into it more later.
Yes. So we will be diving into series 4 here soon. Oh my gosh.
Our next series is identity.
I am looking forward to.
If I can just read off the titles of the episodes.
No, let's wait. No, let's wait.
Bitch! Can I say
know.
the first episode? It's next week's episode.
Sure. Yeah, do it.
First episode of Identity, Series 4, We fulfill who we think we are.
Dum dum dum.
Thanks for letting me share.
We fulfill who we think we are.
We fulfill who we think we are.
I'm curious. How will that go?
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to dive into it.
Yeah, we got a lot of diving in to do.
Yeah.
But you beautiful meows. We appreciate you.
A lot.
And always thank you. And thank you to all of the people all over the country and all over the world, which is kind of crazy because we get to see where our downloads are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of your support and love and listening and your clicks, because it helps us to create more. It gives us encouragement even more that there are meows that enjoy us meows.
Right.
I love it.
God, thank you additionally for your honesty, your comments, your perspectives.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. We learned so much. We learned so much from you.
It's amazing. Also, it took us like a few months, but we're officially on Apple Podcasts.
Oh
so.
yeah, we're on all. We did it.
Yeah, it took Apple Podcasts to approve us for a little bit, but we did it.
We did it.
We're officially on there. You should go find us and click if you have an iPhone. If you don't, that's fine.
I'm very happy.
Me too. I'm very excited. But the sun's starting to peak, so we shall go and enjoy some vitamin D. You beautiful meows.
Drink a glass of water.
Yes, drink the water.
I don't know why I had to say that, but
I
just stop whatever you're doing and go drink a
We've
glass
been
of
so
water right now.
dehydrated. Go drink some water. Yeah.
Like literally, go
All right.
right now. Okay.
Bye-bye, meows.
Bye.
Alrighty, you lovely meows. We love you deeply, and we thank you dearly for joining us in our journey today.
Subscribe to the 6AM Meow Meows to get notifications for future episodes. If you wish for more meows in your life, you can connect with us on Instagram for questions to ask yourself, writing prompts, as well as tips and tricks related to today's episode. And, of course, cats.
If you're more of a visual person, find us on YouTube for the video version of these podcasts. Or you can join the conversation on Facebook. Share what you think, what you learned, or something you would like to add to our discussions.
To get in touch with us, or if you have any questions, email us at the6ammeowmeows@gmail.com.
And all of these links will be listed below, so just scroll on down to get connected.
As always, we are learning through this journey, so your comments and perspectives are a fundamental part in helping us gain understanding and shifting our current realities.
Again, thank you for your time, and have a perfect rest of your day. Goodbye, beautiful meow meows.
Goodbye!